The fallout inside the two mainstream parties, the Tories and the Labour Party, continue, but this video is focusing on Keir Starmer's shadow cabinet. There's another civil war erupting inside Keir Starmer's team. It's another classic. So, first things first. Usually, when you get close to the general election, the main two parties become more disciplined, are more focused, not really divided. Not anymore. The whole thing is being exposed as a fake theatre that is being creating this circus that we call Westminster Village. So we have Wes Streeting, who's going to be in charge of health if Labour gets into government, and Keir Starmer, who's going to be in charge of something. I don't know what they're going to let him to do, but he's just going to go on TV and say good things about his government. These guys are talking about how they want to reform the NHS. They want to introduce more private contractors to the NHS, like what Blair did and the Tories have been doing. And the political left are freaking out. The whole shadow cabinet is falling apart. The whole team is divided, including people who work under Wes Streeting, the junior shadow cabinet ministers for health. So, Wes Streeting says, Labour would use the spare capacity in the private sector to get patients seen faster. Fair enough. He says, the Conservatives are failing to make use of private sector capacity and patients are paying the price. Hang on, until yesterday you guys were going around saying the Tories have privatised the NHS. Now you're saying that the Tories are not using a private sector enough. Make up your mind, it will really help the country. So, we have Wes Streeting and Starmer want to use more private contractors and resources. Fine. But not everybody's happy. Clearly, they don't really have any consensus on anything really anymore. You got a number of shadow cabinet ministers who are kicking off. We got Aline Khan, who's allegedly also an expert on these issues. Andrew Gwayne, we have Ferrell Clark, Karen Smith, and Dalton as well, have all publicly condemned their own party leader, Keir Starmer. They are still part of the shadow cabinet, by the way. They're not backbenchers. They're not some sort of rebellious group. They are part of the future government. And this is why people need to know about this video, because it's not really about the policy, whether it's right or wrong. It's about the fact that if these guys don't really have any consensus on anything and any basic unity, can they actually run the government? Can they actually get together and come up with something that they all agree with, at least, or go along with it? Because if they're going to start fighting, right now they're in fightings that's growing, like the Tories, we're going to have a similar situation. Right now, one of the problems with the government, apart from there's a whole list that we have, is the fact that they can't get anything done. They are too distracted and they're too tired. You can't have a fresh government, Labour's government, to go in acting the same way. It just makes no sense. You are fresh. You need to be proactive and have some sort of vision, for the love of God. Anyway, we've got Liz Kendall, who's supporting Wes Streeting and Keir Starmer. She has actually in the past said that there will remain a role for the private and voluntary sectors where they can add extra capacity to the NHS or challenges to the system. So that's why these guys are called right-wing Labour people, just because they want to get the private sector to help with the NHS. This is also a fascinating problem because you got Jeremy Corbyn's pet, Zara Sultana, another commie, has come out to say, we have to start a fight against the Labour leadership. It requires all of us to organise and to make sure that when the Labour Party get into government, it is to end all forms of privatisations. Hang on, all forms of private involvement. Firstly, it's not privatisation. Privatisation means changing ownership, but it's called private intervention, private firm intervention. If you're going to stop all forms of privatisations, you do realise that means you can't have a phone line at reception desks. You literally have the CT scan machines. You got all the materials, everything from your own clothing. These are supplied by private companies, including the uniforms, including the face nappies, including the syringes, including the medicine, including the doors, the windows, the beds, all the machines, as I said, everything is provided by someone. Has to make that. Do you really want bureaucrats inside NHS England, the building in Elephant and Castle? I don't know if it's still there, Elephant and Castle, the HQ, or not. You're going to get them to start making things. Now, one thing is about the terrible, terrible private contracts that Tony Blair signed, and that was destructive because the government and bureaucrats don't know how to negotiate business deals. So private contractors took advantage of the business of the government and the idiocy. So they gave us bad contracts, and they took advantage of the NHS. Why not? That's exactly what you provide them to do. But so you can reform that. You can stop that from happening. You can stop private firms taking advantage. Yes, but you can't say stop all forms of private interventions, because that means you can't even turn on the lights, because even electricity is provided by a private company. They don't understand that the foundation of everything has to be someone has to wake up, go to work, make something, and get paid for it. So when they say we're against anybody making money, you do realize even your doctors and nurses wake up, go to work to make money. That's why when they don't make enough money, they freak out and they refuse to treat patients. So everybody needs money. Everybody needs to make a living. So they're going around saying we're against anybody making money. It makes no sense. If you say we're against greed and people taking advantage of the system and other people and stealing their money, yes, I'm in favor of that too. But that's not what they're saying. They're against anybody benefiting, anybody being able to go after work, buy bread and milk and cheese and meat to have for dinner. Basically, you're not allowed to. Where you want to have the government giving you money. Yes, universal basic income maybe. You don't have to work. You just have the government giving you a set of income on a regular basis. This is what these people want. So the Labour Party, okay, I'll take that on what they're going to do. So it's going to be great. And the Tories are losing the S. And they're not ready to continue governance of the country. What are we, people across the country, going to be doing? Are we going to be voting for smaller parties and give them a chance? Maybe Reform UK. Maybe the Liberal Democrats. Yeah, I don't think we were that drunk. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.